What's up, guys? Instead of covering the race tomorrow on the live stream, I'm still gonna do the live stream, but there are other things I want to cover. There's another video that I want to talk about regarding NASCAR video games and the things that I've talked about in the past. So I want to cover that, and if I get a chance, I will try to do a tier list that a lot of people seem to want to see. The last tier list I did, it seemed to go over well with a lot of people. I did a tier, so I want to try to have room for that. And this race in particular, I do have some things I want to talk about. And if I leave it for the live stream, it's going to take a lot of time. So my overall feeling of this race, it was extremely average, uh, almost to the point of being below average. I give it a six. I would give it a 6 out of 10. Um, I could live with this type of race every once in a while. I've said this before. It's sports, right? I don't expect every sporting event, whether it's a race or a game, to be the best fucking thing ever, right? It's sports. It's not predictable, right? Some football games you watch are pretty forgettable. Um, this was a very forgettable, lackluster race. It wasn't terrible, but it was definitely, I would say, slightly below average. Um, I'm not going to complain about that, but there are things about this that do need to be addressed. Um, and before I even get into that, you guys know I'm not a fan of road courses. I try to be fair. And last week, I actually thought last week last week's race was better. Um, Not by a lot, but it was. I don't know what it was about this race. Well, I do know what it was. There were a couple of things. I shouldn't say that, but um, I'm still not a fan of road courses in NASCAR. I didn't mind that wanted to add a couple, but man, I told you guys from the start they just went too far with it. They added too many road courses. Um, these road courses before, and this is something else I want to point out. They've always been track position and fuel strategy, right? So we don't really think of road courses when it comes to actual uh, hardcore passing and just entertainment. They have their moments, and I'm sure people will point out to a race from like 20 years ago when Jeff Gordon made a pass on, Tony Stewart, and it was awesome and blah. You know, I'm not saying there aren't good moments, but overall, can we just admit that road courses are pretty dull for the most part? They're not as exciting as the ovals, in my opinion. That's just, again, I'm only speaking for myself. This is totally my opinion. But they went too far. They added too many road courses. And of the road courses, I've always said Watkins Glen is the best. It is pretty, it's always been the most tailor made for stock cars, right? Uh, for example, what isn't really suited is like Coda, right? Coda's a wonderful track, but it's not designed for stock cars. It's more of an open wheel track. Um, I just don't think stock cars put on as good of a show on that track as maybe other tracks. Uh, the Indy Road Course for me is the worst. I hate that fucking track. I hate the layout. But when you compare the Indy Road Course to this week, like back to back, we can make a direct comparison. As much as I hate the Indy Road Course, it did help that NASCAR, the changes with the not having the caution uh, uh, stage cautions, right? And restart zone was moved. Funny this week, it was this, they didn't make that change, but it didn't affect the race, right? But we have a direct comparison. The Indy Road Course, I think, was clearly just a more entertaining race last week. Um, but besides how dull and really average this race was today, and I would lean towards being slightly below average, to be honest. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Um, the issues I have with this race is clearly the biggest one is the lack of tire wear. These tires just do not wear. But before we go further into that discussion, I do want to point out that even in the past, right, before this new car, this has always been the case with road courses. It's always been track position and fuel strategy, right? So let's not act like this is new. I know there's going to be people out there that act like, oh my God, this is a new thing. It's not that new, right? Road courses have always been this way. Very difficult to pass, and you can hold people off on very old tires, right? Tires just don't matter here. That's a huge problem. So, especially when you have these long green flag runs and it's just the fall off just isn't there. Um, I don't know, man. NASCAR, I think, should rethink, maybe eliminate a couple of tracks, right? Obviously, Watkins Glen, I'm not talking about it. There are other issues they could address, but Watkins Glen, I still think is the best road course in spite of what happened today. But get rid of that Indy road course. And honestly, I know there's people that like Coda. I don't. I would say get rid of that as well. But that's neither here nor there. This is not about rescheduling the schedule, whatever. But the lack of tire wear was a huge problem. Um, and yeah, obviously, uh, maybe a little more horsepower might help, but I'm not sure that's the case on a road course. Like I said, these road courses historically have played out this way, right? And the only difference is we didn't get that late restart on a caution, right? That you normally get. Um, so yeah, but that brings me to the end of the race, and I gotta say, man, I once again I find myself defending a driver I cannot stand. Right? I don't like Austin Dillon, never did. Um, but I gotta be honest, and the same way I had to defend fucking I didn't really defend him because Denny Hamlin, what he did was dirty to Larson. But what I did say, and I pointed it out, was the hypocrisy among fans. Kyle Larson is over aggressive and borderline dirty at times, right? He's always been this way. He races people the way that, like we saw when, like, he'll wash you up the track, he'll pinch you, not give you room, he'll dive bomb. He's very aggressive, right? Which leads to a lot of his success. He is very talented, but here we see let's watch.
If we look back a little bit further, we might understand why. Well, let's do that.
Well, I have to give credit to Dale Jr. He said there had to be more to it, and sure enough, our team down in the trucks on replay found this is heading into the left-hander turn 6.
Now, this is after Larson dumped Austin Dillon in the last lap. So, and by the way, the fucking production is still great. NBC does an amazing job breaking everything down, and they even said there's something that had to be there. They went, they found it, and they showed you the replay. This is what you want from a broadcast. So kudos to them. But they were trying to show this as a good, like a reason why Larson dumped Austin Dillon. So I was like, okay, let's see. I'm sure that Austin Dillon did the same thing to him, in a previous turn. But watch this.
6. That is Dillon getting into the left rear a little bit, rear bumper of the 5 of Larson. He obviously feels that that was over the top or too aggressive because he then tries to counter and he gets in there real deep, locks up the right front, and up the track they both go.
Yeah, there's big contact there. The 7 of Corey LaJoie also got into this a little bit right here. He got into the back of the 5.
Clear, boneheaded move by Larson. And I know there's fans out there, they don't want to accept that. I'm sorry. But what Austin Dillon did was clean. In fact, I think we've agreed as fans that the bump and run is acceptable, right? This was not even a bump and run. He barely tapped him. Watch.
On replay found this is heading into the left-hander turns.
Right here, these two. You got Austin Dillon on the inside. He barely touches Larson. He gave him a tap, but it was the lightest tap I've ever seen. This is not a bump and run, okay? Which, like I said, is acceptable. A bump and run without going too far, right? It's racing. This wasn't even a bump and run. This was a tap and move. Barely a tap. Watch.
6. That is Dillon getting into the left.
You could hardly even tell when he got into him.
Turn 6. That is Dillon getting into the left rear.
That's a
little
clean
bit,
move.
Rear of the 5 of Larson. He obviously feels that that was.
And Larson got triggered by somebody having the audacity to race him hard, but clean. And it goes to show you the mentality of a lot of these drivers, right? It's not just Larson. I try not to take sides, but like this guy's making it so hard to like him. He rubs me the wrong way. He dive bombs in here because he was not under any circumstance going to give up that spot. And even though that was a clean move,
was over the top or too aggressive
right here,
because he then
out of
tries
control,
to counter
right,
and he gets in there real deep,
out of
locks
control.
up the
Boom.
right front, and up the track they both go.
Yeah, there's big contact there. The 7 of Corey LaJoie also got into this a little bit right here. He got into the back of the 5. The 2 of them.
So not only did he lose that one spot to a guy making a clean pass, he ends up fucking wrecking him and spinning himself out and losing multiple spots. There's no excuse for that. And he was clearly triggered by a clean move. It wasn't even dirty. I was thinking, surely Austin Dillon raced him dirty, did something, out of bounds. Nope, he barely touched him.
Also, after they got out of their cars, had a little heated discussion on.
Now, watch Kyle Larson's body language. This tells you everything you need to know. He's not upset. Like, he doesn't want to give in that he was wrong, but his body language clearly, you can tell that he knows deep inside he screwed up, that what he did was out of bounds, but he doesn't want to admit it. So they kind of talk to each other. Austin Dillon is more upset, and he's right to be upset. In fact, he's not as upset as I would have been. But watch Larson. He's just on that edge of, I'm not going to admit I was wrong, but I'm not going to fucking argue. Like, I knew I was right. He knows he's wrong.
Pit road. We
watch
see this
his body
where
language.
Austin came up to Kyle. Normally there's a few hand gestures that go along with it.
So,
it's this time of the year.
So now he kind of waves him off a little bit. But that's his way of saying, okay, you got to talk, say what you need to say. Now I've had it. That sense of entitlement, right? I was actually kind of a fan, not a big fan, when he drove for Ganassi. Ganassi was never a top tier team, and I felt like it was kind of an underdog story because supremely talented as he wasn't in top level equipment, right? And I could root for that. But once he went to, and I'm not saying he was super clean either. Like I said, he's always been over aggressive. But once he went to Hendrick, he definitely gained a sense of entitlement. Like, I'm in top. Like, how dare you race me? Like, most of these guys are like this, especially the top tier guys. They look at everyone like, hey, you just get out of my way. You know, there's a sense of entitlement. And he's gotten even more aggressive. He's done a lot dumber shit. He's raced his own teammates like really out of bounds. This is why, like a couple weeks ago, when everybody was losing their shit over what Denny Hamlin did, I admitted what Denny Hamlin did was dirty. But I also said, I reminded people, by the way, that's a Kyle Larson move that Denny Hamlin pulled. Because Larson's done that a lot to a lot of people. Um, I don't know how he has gotten this to this point and still have so little criticism of his driving style, but people aren't. Once again, he's going to get away with it because it's Austin Dillon. A lot of people don't like Austin Dillon, including myself. So let's look at the comment section. So I posted, I can't stand Austin Dillon, but let's be honest, he pulled a clean pass on Larson, and Larson got triggered and dive bombed the next corner and dumped him. Larson is an over aggressive driver, and he does this a lot. People really need to take their fanboy hats off and call it what it is. So somebody responds by saying, did you not see him push Larson out of the way and off the track in the turn prior? I did fucking see it, you fucking moron.
Replay found this
This
is
is
heading
what
into
you
the
call
left-hander
push
turn
him off the
6.
track?
That is Dillon getting into the left rear a little bit, rear bumper of the 5 of.
That's what's called having a fucking fanboy hat on too tight. This is what pisses me off about fucking fans. Did you not see him push Larson out of the way and off the track in the turn prior? That's what he calls pushing him off the track. He barely touched his
Dillon
bumper.
getting into the left rear a little bit, rear bumper of the 5 of Larson. He obviously feels that.
And that's what I'm telling you. The fanboy hat on is so tight, and they got the blinders on. This is what fanboyism at an extreme looks like. You wrecked me, so I will ask for your suspension. Just wait until Tuesday. You're already lucky. Did not throw my helmet and miss. Austin Dillon, probably. So they're making fun of Austin Dillon. Again, I can't stand Austin Dillon, and he does deserve to be made fun of. But not now, not today. He didn't do anything wrong. And he would be in every... He has every right to be upset. So people are just now pulling shit out of their ass. Again, I try to be fair. I may not like a driver, but I have to defend this shit. Well, that explains what happened in turn 7. Looks like Larson was having none of it. None of what? Being raced clean? And being passed cleanly? That's what he's not having none of? These are the fucking people that ruined this sport. I suck and it's your fault. At least this race it is. Austin, useless, Dillon. Again, I can't believe people can look at that and still walk away thinking he did something wrong and Larson's in the right. This is insane. I can't. I can't. I'm not going through. These people are fucking stupid. This fan base is fucking embarrassing. And they're actually saying that this was dirty.
This is heading into the left-hander turn 6. That is Dillon getting into the.
You can't even tell when he made contact. It was such a slight tap. And look at how much room. There's plenty of room on the inside. What do you want this guy not to do? Don't dare to pass the fucking walk on water angel Kyle. You people are fucking insane. It's fucking insane. And I gotta defend a guy. I can't stand Austin Dillon. But what's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. And that's And then people excuse this shit
left rear a
and
little
say,
bit, rear
"Oh,
bumper
Larson
of the
was
5 of
having none
Larson.
of
He
it,
obviously
so I got to
feels
do
that
this
that was
boneheaded
over the top or
iRacing
too
type of
aggressive because
bullshit."
he then tries to counter.
Look at this.
And he gets in there real deep,
Boom.
walks up the right front, and up the track they both go.
Yeah, there's big contact there. The 7 of Corey LaJoie also got into this a little bit right here. He got into the back of
all of this because you can't handle being passed cleanly. If you think that Austin Dillon did something wrong in this case, you are fucking Looney Tunes. I can't with this guy. And I don't know, man. He's always rubbed me the wrong way. I don't hate Kyle Larson, but man, let me tell you, every fucking time there's another incident with him, he's just making me dislike him more and more. Um, Again, I can't stand Austin Dillon. I can't stand Denny Hamlin. But the way people are selective with their outrage is fucking insane. Anyway, those are my thoughts for the race. Tune in tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, for the live stream. Uh, so this is me talking about today's race. Um, NASCAR is gonna have to figure something out with the lack of tire wear because in all fairness, road courses have always been track position, but this is too much. Anyhow, there's too many fucking road courses for my taste. I can't wait for more ovals, but yeah, now we got to go to fucking Daytona, another fucking shit track, but whatever. Anyhow, I look forward to your comments later.